You've heard of secret weapons and silent engines, but have you ever heard of a fire that didn't burn? During the brutal winters of World War II, when Allied sailors were cast adrift in the freezing North Atlantic, a strange little invention became their lifeline. It didn't crackle, it didn't smoke, it didn't even glow. Yet it gave off enough heat to melt ice and warm food, quietly saving lives in one of the coldest, deadliest environments on Earth. This wasn't a miracle or magic. It was chemistry. Ingenious, practical, life-saving chemistry, born from desperation at sea. The world called it the Lifeboat Stove, but to the men who used it, it was hope in a tin can. In the dark waters of the Atlantic, being seen could mean being sunk. German U-boats prowled like sharks, and any flicker of flame could give away the position of a stranded lifeboat. Yet sailors needed heat, not for comfort, but for survival. Without it, frostbite, hypothermia and dehydration would claim them long before rescue arrived. Open flames were a death sentence. Smoke meant exposure, and conventional fuels like kerosene burned too hot, too fast and too bright. What they needed was something impossible, a heat source that could burn without flame. Enter a group of naval engineers and chemists who refused to accept the impossible. They didn't have time for perfection. They needed something safe, efficient, and, well, invisible. Out of that urgency came a small, dull metal canister that could warm a man's hands and save his life without lighting up the night. Here's where it gets fascinating. The lifeboat stove worked on a blend of ethanol, plain alcohol, mixed with calcium acetate, a common chemical salt. When combined, the two formed a thick gel. This wasn't liquid fuel, it was a jelly-like mass that could sit safely in a metal cup. When lit, this gel didn't erupt in a flame like gasoline. It simply shimmered with a faint blue glow, barely visible even in darkness. The reaction produced steady, radiant heat, but almost no light. No smoke, no crackling embers, just quiet, consistent warmth. Chemically, it worked because the calcium acetate stabilized the alcohol-limiting oxygen access. That reduced the intensity of the burn, creating a near-flameless oxidation reaction. In other words, it produced heat without visible combustion, the art of invisible fire. This wasn't just smart, it was revolutionary. The gel burned for hours using minimal oxygen, making it safe even in enclosed lifeboats. In the desperate cold of the North Atlantic, this quiet miracle kept countless sailors alive long enough to be found. The lifeboat stove didn't look like much, just a small tin, light enough to carry in one hand. But for the men drifting among the waves, it was the most valuable object on board. It melted ice into drinking water, it heated canned rations, it gave off a little glow. Not enough to attract an enemy's eye, but just enough to keep hope alive. It was a piece of equipment few ever talked about, yet it changed the rules of survival at sea. And like so many wartime inventions, it was designed not for comfort, but for endurance. The brilliance wasn't just in the chemistry, it was in the simplicity. No moving parts, no pressure valves, no liquid fuel sloshing around. You could knock it over and it wouldn't flare up. It didn't need maintenance. It just worked. In the chaos of World War II, that kind of reliability was worth more than gold.